Good morning to one and all. Today we are going to discuss OSI reference model in computer networks. OSI means Open System Interconnect Model. The Open System Interconnection Model began as a reference model but has since been implemented. It was developed by the International Organization for Standardization to provide a logical framework for how data communication process should interact across world. So this OSA model has been developed by the ISO in the year of 1974. It consists of 7 layers. Each layer has a different but specific processing function. Now let us see diagrammatical representation of OSA reference model. This is the diagrammatical representation of OSI reference model. So these are the 7 layers. We can start from the layer 1 is the physical layer, layer 2 data link layer, layer 3 network layer, layer 4 transport layer, layer 5 session layer, layer 6 presentation layer, and layer 7 application layer. The top 3 layers we have called as an upper layer or software layer, and middle of the layer, that is the transport layer, we can to be called as in that is the heart of OSI. The bottom 3 layers are the lower layers or hardware layers. Now let us discuss each and every layer from the top layer onwards. So actually there are the 7 layers in the OSI model. Each layer is responsible for a particular aspect of data communication. For example, one layer may be responsible for establishing connections between devices, while another layer may be responsible for error checking during transfer. The layers of the OSI model are divided into 2 groups. Already we have discussed, that is the upper layer and then lower layer. The upper layers mainly to be focused on user applications and how files are represented on the computers prior to transport. For the most part, network engineers are more concerned with the lower layers only. It is the lower layers that concentrate on how the communication across a network actually occurs. Now let us discuss the topmost layer, that is the application layer. The application layer provides the network services directly to the user applications such as a web browser, email browser, and Windows Explorer, etc. This layer is said to be the closest to the user. So here there's the application layer mainly to be responsible for providing networking services to the user. It is also known as desktop layer. So identifying of services is done using port numbers. There are the different protocols are to be coming under this the application layer. Those are the telnet, HTTP, FTP, TFTP, SMTP, etc. These all are the layers have to be coming under this the application layer. So this the application layer can to be providing the services by using of the port numbers. That one we are already discussed. So what are the port numbers? Here it is that. So actually the total port numbers are having we have getting the 0 to 65,535. These total port numbers can to be divided into the two. One is for the reserved ports and the second is for the open ports. Reserved ports from the 0 to 1023 and then open ports can to be from the 1024 to 65,535. Now this is the diagrammatical representation of the data flow from the application layer. So that's the data can to be flow from that's the application layer to the presentation layer through those the port numbers. So what are the services are to be won by the user? By based on that port number, the services are to be get by the user. The next another layer is the presentation layer. This layer is represents the data in the particular format to the application layer. It defines encryption, compression, conversion, and other coding functions. So it is measured to be responsible for for converting data into the standard format. So for example, there is the ASCII format or EBCDAC or JPEG, MPEG format, whatever. Whatever format we want to be need, we can to be get those format of data that can to be converted by this the presentation layer. So these are the different tasks are to be performed with the presentation layer. Already we have discussed about that. There is a encryption, compression, conversion of data and other coding functions. So there is an here it is mentioned that encoding and decoding, encryption, decryption, compression and then decompression. So in this presentation layer can to be defined so many specifications. Those are the JF and then TIFF and JPEG, MPEG and ASCII code. All these are the different formats have to be provided by this the presentation layer. This is the diagrammatical representation of the data flow from the application layer to the presentation layer. Data can to be flow from the application layer to the presentation layer. The next layer is that session layer. The session layer is responsible for establishing, maintaining and terminating the sessions. And also it is the major responsible for this the session layer is that dialog control and then synchronization. This layer request for a logical connection to be established on the end user's request. Any necessary logon or password validation is also handled by this session layer only. This the session layer is also responsible for terminating the connection. So this the section when there's the session layer can to be creating or establishing the section automatically that the session ID has to be indicated. And this layer provides the services like dialog discipline, which can be a full duplex or then in the half duplex. And the session layer can also provide the checkpointing mechanism such that if a failure of some sort occurs between checkpoints, all data can be retransmitted from the last checkpoint. So these are the different examples for this the session layer. Those are the RPC, remote procedure call, and then SQL structured query language and the network file system. This is the diagrammatical representation of data flow from the presentation layer to the session layer. The next one of the important layer is the transport layer. This is the heart of the OSI model. The main purpose of the transport layer is to be provide a reliable mechanism for the exchange of data between two processes in different computers. Mainly that's the transport layer to transmitting the data from the one system to the another system or one computer to the another computer. So here ensures that the data units are delivered error free, and this transport layer makes sure that the data units are delivered in a sequence order only, and the transport layer makes sure that there is the no loss or duplication of the data units. It provides the connectionless or connection oriented service, means that when that's the data has to be transmitted in between two processes from the different computers, sometimes that is in sometimes connection oriented communication has to be provided and then connectionless. It provides for the connection management also, and it's the multiple connection or a single channel. Here it is that already we discussed about this is also in the heart of the OSL layer. These are the following tasks that are to be performed by the transport layer. One is for the identifying service, multiplexing and demultiplexing, segmentation, sequencing and reassembling, error correction and flow control. The next this one is the data flow diagram for that is the transport layer. The data can to be flow from the session layer to the transport layer. So here is the data can to be transmitting from the one process to the another format in the form of segments. So this is the diagrammatical representation of the transport layer. Yeah, this one is the another layer in OSI reference model, that is a network layer. The remaining three layers will be going to discuss in the next session. Thank you.